Why are there so many dumb Hebrew Israelites out there? I swear, it's like over 90% of y'all are just dumb. I literally was invited to a Hebrew Israelite versus Jew debate forum on Facebook by Jacob Israel. Shout out to you. I post a photo of the King's Fountain, which is from 16th century in Lisbon, that portrays Jews, blacks, Portuguese, all types of people. It shows the Jews as non-black, and it does show black people there. Some of them are on horses, some of them are slaves, and there's one being carried away because he's drunk, according to some of the description of the depiction. But there are no Jews being portrayed as black. So this guy, Judah Israel, I believe his name is, this imbecile tries to tell me what I know and what I didn't do, contradicts himself in one paragraph.
He says, you need to read the history connected to these pictures. The history calls these Negroes Jews, which is wrong. Also in Lisbon, they and the main court next to St. Domingo Church, there is a monument to those Negro Jews who were burned to death outside of the church. Nice try, but I'm sure you knew this information.
And then goes ahead and tries to tell me that there's a monument in Lisbon that tells you about the massacre that happened, which is historic, of 2,000 Jews. And he tells me that it says Negro Jews. I read the monument, which is in Latin, in Portuguese. There's a quote that says, like, the ignorant are, like, so sure of themselves. Like, the confidence that you display, it's so ignorant. And it's obviously so ignorant because you're telling me what I know and what I haven't done. But because I know that you probably speak Ebonics and you can't translate, let me translate it for you. It says, en memoria de 2 millares de judíos víctimas de intolerancia, which means in memory of 2,000 Jews that were victims of intolerance. That's what it says. It would be nice if you could provide the evidence of what you're saying instead of having to just have me rely on your word. It's obvious that this is what you do. You take people's word as evidence, but that's not how I get down. So I'm going to need you to tell me what you're talking about, because if I'm wrong, I'm not too proud to say that I'm wrong. So please, sir, I provided what I think you're talking about. Can you provide me with something, or are we just going to have to rely on what you say? It doesn't say anything about Negro Jews. He doesn't provide any proof. I have to just accept it at his word. Obviously, this is how he thinks, and this is how a lot of you Hebrew Israelites are. You heard something and then you repeat it as if it's evidence, as if you saw the evidence. And with such confidence and obnoxious attitude, just the sheer disrespect that they come off with, you would think, wow, this guy must know something because he's so confident.
And his original comment is contradictory. His first sentence, it assumes that I haven't read the history. But then by the end of it, he says, nice try, but I'm sure you knew this information already. It's contradictory to assume that I didn't know the history and that I already knew the information. At the same time, those two things cannot exist. He's suggesting that I'm being dishonest, that I'm lying, because I know the information, but I just want to lie. So I respond by saying, how do you start off a paragraph by saying, you need to read the history, which assumes that I haven't read the history. Then you end it by saying, I'm sure you knew this already, which assumes that I have read it. Nice way to contradict yourself in one paragraph. It's obvious you are logically unsound. There's a disconnect with your thoughts. Then he types a lowercase letter h for some reason. And then he says, I'm speaking of the old books, 18th century and older. I could give you the sources if you are open to the old histories. Most of the modern histories are trying to erase real history. That's why I stick to the old sources. This guy's grammar is horrendous. horrific, atrocious, disgusting. What the hell is old histories and modern histories? And somebody actually liked this comment. He's trying to get out of his original claim, which states that there's a monument that expresses something about Negro Jews. What happened to that? He has totally abandoned this.
This guy now turns back on the whole thing. He doesn't even want to talk about the monument, and he starts talking about histories of history.
And like I told him, if I'm wrong, I don't have too much pride to admit it. But it's obvious that this guy put his foot in his mouth, got tested because he didn't know who I was, and now he's trying to backpedal, and he won't even admit that he was wrong. I just proved him wrong, and he's talking about something else now. This guy's insane.